Shri Guru Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Vansha Kalpacharubhyascha Bolo. Vansha Kalpacharubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Cha Kripa Sindhubhya Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha So what we'll do with this song, we'll sing one line at a time, and then in between each set of lines, we'll all together at the same time sing the first two lines together as a chorus. Morai Sankirtana Yagyera Mahima Bolo Yagyera Mahima. Okay. Morai Sankirtana Yagyera Mahima Sankirtana Yagyera Mahima Sarva Shastre Kohe Iha Mahima Garima Iha Mahima Garima Sarva Shastre Kahe Iha Mahima Garima Mahima Garima Sarva Dharma Saraye Sankirtana Dharma Sarva Dharma Saraye Sankirtana Dharma Vishesha Janibe Kali Juge Karma Vishesha Janibe Kali Juge Karma Gani Jai Kori Se Prabodhaya Gana Rupe Vedira Uchare Mohadoya Gana Rupe Vedira Uchare Moha. Everyone all together, Bolo. Morahe Sankirtana Yagyera Mahima Sarva Shastre Kohe Iha Mahima Garima Sabbaloka Karnagarta Kunda Parisara Sabbaloka Karnagarta Kunda Parisara Shiva Shravadvani Rasha Grita Manohara Dvani Rasa Grita Manohara Bolo Murahe Sankirtana Yagyara Mahima Sarva Shastre Koheha Mahima Gari Antare Prabhishta Hana Baba Agni Jvale Agni Siksha Pula Kashu Kampa Kalavare Pula Kashu Kampa Kaleva Bolo Murahe Sankirtana Yagyara Mahima Sarva Shastre Kaheha Mahima Gari Sarva Pape Mukta Hoya Sabhajana Nache Sarva Pape Mukta Hoya Sabhajana Nache Salokyari Mukti Tara Fire Pache Pache Mukti Tara Fire Pache Pache Bolo Mora Sankirtana Yagyara Mahima Sarva Shastre Kaheha Mahima Gari Kadachana Deke Se Noyanera Kone Kadachera Noyanera Kone Nachya Bhulaye Krishna Rasha Ashwadhane Krishna Rasa Aswadhane Bolo Morahe Sankirtana Yagyara Mahima Sarva Shastre Kaheha Mahima Gari Se Jagya Bediyara He Vaishnava Chaja Se Jagya Bediyara He Vaishnava Chaya Jani Be Kirtana Jagya Sarva Jagya Arya Kirtana Jagya Sarva Jagya Bolo Morahe Sankirtana Jagyara Mahima Sarva Shastre Kaheha Mahima Gari Ihate Janmilae Prima Mahadana Ihate Janmilae Prema Mahadana Grihasta Nityananda Avarana Ihara Grihasta Nityananda Avarana Bolo Murahe Sankirtana Yagira Mahima Sarva Shastre Kahe Mahima Gari Gadadhara Pandite Premira Grihini Gadadhara Pandite Premira Grihini Etat Vajani Besakala Bhaktamani Etat Vajani Besakala Bhaktam Bolo Murae Sankirtana Yagira Mahima Sarva Shastre Kahe Mahima Garima Advaita Acharya Goshai Amare Aniya Advaita Acharya Goshai Amare Anina Sankirtana Jagyashtape Sudrida Hoya Kirtana Jagyashtape Sudrida Bolo Morahe Sankirtana Jagira Mahima Sarva Shastre Kahe Mahima Garima Srinivasa Narahari Adi Bhakta Gana Srinivasa Narahari Adi Bhakta Gana Tosabare Tana Mura Yagyerastapana Tosabare Lana Mura Yagyerastapana Bolo Morahe Sankirtana Jagira Mahima Sarva Shastre Kahe Mahima Garima E Jagya Kalikale Deha Gare Gare Jagya Kalikale Deha Gare Gare E Jagya Kali Kale Deha Gare Gare Hey Taruka Sakala Loka Molo Taruka Sakala Taruka Sakala Loka Taruka Sakala Taruka Sakala Loka Taruka Sakala Loka Patita pamare. Patita pamare. Patita pamare. Could I ask everybody to help me a little bit with a small thing? I don't know everybody here. I'm kind of a new person, and it's really hard if I have to have binoculars to see people in the back. Could everybody come really close, all the way up here? I took a bath last week. It's okay. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everyone all together. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Gaura Haribo. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Gaura Haribo. Shri Guru Nitai Go Premanandi Hari Hari Bo Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajikacharya Varya Astotara Satashi Srimad His Divine Grace Obhoy Charna Rabindo Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajikacharya Varya Astotara Satashi Srimad His Divine Grace Singha Guru Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Then Vaishnava Brinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Sikoho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Brinda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Radhakun Shamakun Giri Govardhana Ki Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Shri Mayapur Navadvip Dham Ki Shri Purushottam Ketra Vipralamba Ketra Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Shri Madhurja Rasaganaiti Murti Mahabha Prakash Jagannath Swami Ki Shri Shri Radha Gopi Vallabhaju Ki Shri Jagannath Shri Baladev Shrimati Subhadramai Sudarshanju Ki Shri Shri Gaur Nityananda Prabhu Ki Go Premanandi Hari Hari Samaveda Bhakta Binda Ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Gauragra Ganya Gana Gotra Goloruharam Gauranga Guratama Gopyara Kopa Briksham Gopala Gada Ratidam Yati Singha Gaura Govinda Deshi Kavaram Satatam Namami Uttama Adama Kichuna Bachila Jachiya Dileka Kola Kahe Premananda Hemona Gauranga Hridoya Dariya Bola Bhaja Gauranga Kaha Gauranga Laha Gaurangera Namare Bolo Bhaja Gauranga Kaha Gauranga Laha Gaurangera Namare Jai Jana Gauranga Bhaje Se Hoy Amara Pranare Jai Jana Gauranga Bhaje Se Hoy Amara Pranare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Yashaiva Padambuja Bhakti Labhya Prema Vidana Parama Pumata Tasmai Jagan Mangala Mangalaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Madgavirapi Gopala Sri Kuryat Kripaya Jadi Tadaiva Sambhaya Pitva Rishayustat Priyajanaha Shri Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Sasanatana Rupaka Gopala Raghunatha Apta Vrajabala pahimam. Vancha kopatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Brinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Bolo Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Brinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So I'll read something first from Chaitanya Charitamrita and Srila Prabhupada's purport, and then I'll discuss something about this song that we just sang. I have a habit that I like to do. It's not such a bad habit, I don't think, but I like to sing, and I like people to sing after. So I'm going to sing the Bengali song, Bengali verse, and everybody can chant Hare Krishna in response. It's not very difficult. Uchalila prema banya chori ke vedai Sri Brida balaka juvasa bariduvai. Bolo Hare Krishna Very nice verse. Such a nice section of Chaitanya Charitamrita also. Uchalila means that something becomes very agitated. And banya means a flood. So this this great agitation, this uchalila prema banya, this flood of prem. Prabhupada translates, the flood of love of God, swelled in all directions. And thus, young men, old men, women, and children were all immersed in that inundation. Everybody was drowning in that flood of love of God. Please repeat. The flood of love of Godhead swelled in all directions. And thus, young men, old men, women, and children were all immersed in that inundation. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. When the contents of the storehouse of love of Godhead is thus distributed, there is a powerful inundation that covers the entire land. In Sridham Mayapur, there is sometimes a great flood after the rainy season. This is an indication that from the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya, the inundation of love of Godhead should be spread all over the world. For this will help everyone, including old men, young men, women, and children. The Krishna consciousness movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so powerful that it can inundate the entire world and interest all classes of men in the subject of love of Godhead. Gurave Guruchandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namaha. So we were just singing this song from Lochandas Thakur's Chaitanya Mangal. And this song was spoken by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And that on one occasion he spoke this to his followers. And he told them that Mora E Sankirtana Jagya Mohima. You should all understand the Mahima, the glories of, he says, Mora E, my Sankirtan Jagya. Sarva Shastri Kohi Ihar Mahima Garima. All the different Shastras really, Anvaya Vyatireka, directly or indirectly, they're just glorifying, they're speaking about the Sankirtan Jagya. Sarva Dharma Sar, a Sankirtana Dharma. This Sankirtan Dharma is the essence of all different dharmas. The word Sar means essence. But Sar, in Orissa in West Bengal, where we come from, has another meaning also. Is anybody here from Orissa or from West Bengal? Raise your hand. Excuse me? Punjab. Okay. So I don't know in Hindi, but in Bengali and in Oriya languages, Sar also means like the essence of the cream. The very, very tasty, nice things. The thing your mother gives you. She really loves you. Huh? So Sarva Dharma Sar means the essence, but it also means the cream, the very, very sweet, essential part of Dharma. A Sankirtan Dharma. The Sankirtan Dharma, this is the essence of all that. Vishesha Janibe Kali Yuga E Karma. And you should know that it's especially meant for Kali Yuga. Krishna Kun, don't do a drama. Just accept this thing, okay? Please. You're disturbing me, all right? And then he goes on to say, Gani Jai Korise Prabodhaya. That anyone who chants this name, these names of Krishna, anyone who takes part in the Sankirtan Dharma, then they get spiritual enlightenment. Gana Rupe Vedara Uchari Mahadvai. And the Vedas, the Vedic literatures, they bestow all their mercy upon that person. Sabaloka Karna Gharta Kunda Parishar. So if you have a yajna, what is the karna? What is the sacrifice? What is the garta? What is the kund? Garta kund. The kund for that yajna, where you pour the ghee and things. And he says sabaloka karna. It's everyone's ear. The ears of all living entities are the pit of this fire yajna. And jiva shrava, you also have to have a shrava if you're doing yajna. Traditionally, shrava means a special wooden spoon. It should be from the length of the end of your fingertip to your elbow. A special shrava. And there's a shruk also. It's another kind of spoon. So you should have this shrava. And what is that shrava? It's the jiva, or the tongue of all the living entities. And then what is the ghee? Dvani rasa, grihita manohar. That very enchanting sound of Krishna's glories, Krishna's name. That's the ghee that you pour in the kund of your ear with the spoon of your tongue. And this is the yajna, the Sankirtan yajna of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now something happens when you put ghee in the fire. What happens? The fire gets bigger, right? So he says that Antare pravishahana bhava agni jvale. When you pour the ghee of Krishna's name, Krishna's glories, with the spoon of your tongue and the kund of your ear, then it reaches into the fire that's in your heart. And what is that fire? That fire is a fire of bhakti. That bhav agni jvale, that mood, that emotions. And then when you pour that ghee on it, then agni siksha pulakashu kampa kalavari. That fire begins to burn much, much stronger. Now what happens if you have a fire burning inside of your body? If you see a big fire going on inside of a building, the building may be shaking because there's so much energy inside of the building from that fire. So similarly, in the material body, if someone has this fire in their heart of bhakti and they're pouring the ghee of Krishna's name on it, then something happens to their body. Their body may begins to shake, pulakashu kampa kalaivare, and their hairs stand on end, tears come to their eyes, and all the different astasattvikara bhava, all the different sins, all the different ecstatic symptoms of the living entity come about. Sarva pape mukta hoya sabajana nache. Then at that time, all the living entities, they become free from sin. And they all begin to dance. This is real dancing in kirtan. When someone is free from pap, free from sin, they really begin to dance. And solokyari muktitar firi pachi pachi. And in that dancing, mukti, liberation personified, is following along behind. Firi pachi pachi, behind that kirtan. Kadacha nadeki sei nayanera kone, nachiya bulaya Krishna rasa aswadani. But even though liberation's running along behind them, hey, look at me, hey, don't leave me behind. Everybody wants me. The devotees who are in that kirtan, they don't even look at liberation. Who cares? Mukti tucha falahoy, nama basa hoite. Chaitanya Charitamrita says that mukti tucha phala. Tucha phala means something very, very insignificant. Liberation is an insignificant mukti tucha falahoy, insignificant fruit of nama bas. Indirect chanting. So instead of running after mukti, liberation, they're dancing Nachiya Bala and Krishna Rasa Aswadini. They're tasting this Krishna Bhakti Ras. Say Jagya Bediha, Rahi Vaishnav Acharya. So who's present in that yagya? All of our different acharyas are present. And as we'd like to discuss in the next couple of days, and especially tomorrow, have a very esoteric subject in front of us. This is a kirtan of our sampradaya. It's the title of a book we'd like to make. Kirtan of our sampradaya. So all the different acharyas are present in this jagya. Jani be kirtana jagya sarva jagya arya. And you should know that of all the different jagyas, this Sankirtan jagya, this is the best. There's no better jagya than this one. Ihate janmila e prema mahadhan ihara grihashta nityananda avaran. So he says that this janmila, this prema mahadan, this great treasure of prema, it takes birth in the heart. And he says that who's in charge of that treasure? Ihar grihashta, the grihashta, Nityananda Prabhu, he's in charge of that thing. And Gadadhar Pandit and Advaita Acharya, Srivas Thakur, everyone is there. He says that Gadadhar Pandit, Premera Grihini. In every yagya, there has to be some goddess for the yagya, and the goddess for this yagya is Gadadhar Pandit. Why is that? Because Gadadhar Pandit is Srimati Radharani. And she's the supreme goddess. She's the real focus of this kirtan. And how that is, why that is a very, very deep, esoteric question. And we want to address it especially tomorrow. Today is a little more of an introduction kind of thing. E tattva janibi shakala bhaktamani. He says that, oh bhaktamani, oh jewel-like devotees, please understand these tattvas. Because if you want to do kirtan, you should understand it in tattva. Otherwise, how are you going to progress properly with it? Advaita Acharya Goshai, Amare Anina. He says that it was Advaita Acharya who brought me here. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who's Sankirtanaika Pitaro, he's the father of the Sankirtan movement. He says that Advaita Acharya is Sankirtan Jagyastape Sudada Hoya. Every traditional Jagya has a stapa, has a pillar, column that they establish at the time of the yagya. And that column is the basis of it, you can say. And he says that Advaita Acharya, he's the basis of this jagya. Srinivasa Narahari Adi Bhaktagan. And he says that Srinivas doesn't mean Srinivas Acharya, but Srinivas is also a name for Srivas Thakur, because he's evoking the different members of the Panchatattva. And already he's mentioned Nityananda, and then Gadadhar, and then Advaita, and then he mentioned Srivas Thakur. And we say that Srivas Sadi Gora Bhaktabin, Srivas Adi. Adi means etc., because Srivas Thakur, he's the manifestation of Narad Muni, and he's considered to be in charge of all the devotees. He's the most important person. And then he says Narahari. Now, why does he say Narahari? What's the importance of Narahari? He's referring to Narahari Sakar. There's two famous Naraharis, Narahari Sakar and Narahari Chakravarti. That's another discussion. But Narahari Sakar, he's mentioning him because Narahari Sakar, Well, first of all, he's the first person to begin writing about the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Long before Chaitanya Charitamrita or Chaitanya Bhagavat, long before Chaitanya Mangal, Narahari Sarkar was writing about the pastimes of Mahaprabhu in the forms of songs. Pajavali Kirtan, songs. He's mentioning Narahari because Narahari Sarkar is his guru. Lochandas Thakur was his disciple. So in this sense, he's Srivas, and we say Adi, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He says in one article, he says that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is an extended subject. He's not a limited subject, he's an extended subject. And there's 6 truths, not just 5, not just Panchatattva, but 6 aspects of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We have the Panchatattva, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Acharya Gadadhar, and Srivas. And the 6th aspect is Gurudev. And he says that for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to be present, his associates also have to be present. And when Mahaprabhu is present, the associates are present. When the associates are present, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is present. So Guru is a very, very important thing. And he says also Bhaktagan, the devotees. It's not enough just that I'm a devotee of Gurudev, Jai Gurudev, Amar Guru, Jagat Guru. My Gurudev's very great. And your Gurudev, well, anyway, better luck next time. That's not proper attitude. Actually, our real worship of our Gurudev, as we may describe later, as discussed in the book Prema Vilas by the disciple Janavamata, the wife of Lord Nityananda. His name was Nityananda Das. He describes that after we've gotten this holy name from Gurudev, then we have to practice it. We have to chant that name in assembly of the devotees, with the devotees. It's just like a card game. If you're playing cards, you have to play according to whatever cards you've been dealt in the hands. And if you don't like what you've been dealt, it's too bad. Then you just have to quit the game. So sometimes devotees say, well, there's no pure devotees, or I don't like this association. But this is the card game of life. These are the cards that we've been dealt. Krishna's given us this thing. And a wise person, he'll play the cards wisely. He'll see, oh, there's some way I can use them. So we've been dealt this deck. We've been given this association. And this is the association, Bhaktistu Bhagavad Bhakta Sangena Parijayate, according to Brihanardiya Purana, by which I can develop bhakti. Bhaktistu Bhagavad Bhakta Sangena Parijayate. That bhakti comes from the devotees. From the devotees that we're in association with. But how is that? By doing kirtan with those devotees. By chanting with them. By having Krishna Katha with them. So, Tosabadi Lana Mora Yagyara Stapana. And this Srivas Thakur, Gurudev Narahari, and the other devotees, they also helped establish this Sankirtan Jagya. So he says, E Jagya Kali Kali Deha Gare Gare. In Kali Yuga, this Jagya, you should take it from house to house. Everybody should take part in this Jagya. Whereas previously it was just the Brahmins, and they were the persons who could do some mudras, and they knew how to chant mantras and things. And not everybody was eligible to take part in those Jagyas. Rather, you would take part in them by giving money to them, and they would be very happy with that. But in this day and age, Deha Gare Gare. We should go from house to house and distribute that. Taruka Sakala Loka Patita Pamare. And by doing so, we should deliver all the fallen people in this age of Kali. So, what is this Jagya of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? What is so special about it? Many, many different questions come with this subject matter. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, he describes that Yagnata Kyamano Larta Loko Yam Karma Bandhava, that everyone should perform some kind of yagya. And it said that Yagyo Vai Vishnu, in his commentary on that verse in 3rd chapter of the Gita, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he says that Yagya vai Vishnu, that Vishnu is Yagya. He's a personification of Yagya. And we do Yagya for his pleasure. And Yagya is, he also is that Yagya. And therefore Gita says, Yagya tar karmanonyatar loko yam karma bandhana, tarartam karma kuntaya mukta sangha samachara. That work as a sacrifice for the Lord has to be performed. Otherwise, if you do work that's not for the pleasure of the Lord, then that work causes some bondage in this material world. So, what is the nature of this yajna? Sometimes devotees, they think that this yajna is a kind of yoga, and it is yoga. It's kirtan yoga, it's nam yoga, but it's not just ordinary yoga. This is something very, very special in this age. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was speaking to Prakashananda Saraswati Thakur, he told him that my Gurudev, he said that I have to do this thing. He said that Murka Tumi, Tomar Nahika Vedanta Adhikar. You have no adhikar, no qualification for Vedanta. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a personification of Vedanta. All the Vedas come from him. But he's saying that I have no qualification for Vedanta, my Gurudev said. And my Gurudev told me that Krishna mantra japasada e mantra sar. That instead, you should constantly chant Krishna's names. And this is the essence of all different mantras. Nama binu kale kale nahi ara dharma. Sarva mantra sar nama e shastra marma bolo. Hare Krishna. That nama binu kali kali nahi ara dharma. Other than the name of Krishna, nahi ara dharma. In Kali Yuga, there is no other dharma. Sarva mantra sar nama e shastra marma. The holy name is the essence of all mantras, and it's the purport of all the different shastras. And then Mahaprabhu told him, he told Prakashananda Saraswati, he said, actually, I only know one verse. I kind of flunked out of the Bhakta program, I guess. He said, I just know one verse. And what is that verse? Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama eva kevalam, kolo nascheva, 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 gatir anyata. 3 times he says, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, eva kevalam, and kolo nascheva, nascheva, nascheva. That the holy name, the holy name, the holy name, there's no other way, no other way, no other way. And Jiva Goswami says that this means that not by karma, not by gyan, not by yoga, but only by taking shelter of the holy name, that everything come. So as we're reading this verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita, when this kirtan came of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there was a great flood of love of God. Now, many questions arise. One question is that how can we say that this Nam Yajna is so special? Was it only done in this age? No. Nama is there in every age. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in his beginning, his introduction to Krishna Samhita, he describes that in Satya Yuga there was Nam Kirtan, and there was a mantra that they were chanting. Narayana para Veda, Narayana parakshara, Narayana para mukti, Narayana para gati. This was the Taraka Nam mantra, or the mantra for deliverance in Satya Yuga. And also there was a mantra in Treta Yuga. Rama Narayana Hanta Mukunda Madhusudana Krishna Keshava Kangsare Hare Vaikuntha Vamana. And he says that this first mantra is mostly like in Shanta Ras. It's very kind of in awe and reverence. It's glorifying Lord Narayan. And in Treta Yuga, there's a little bit, he says, of Dasyaras, some servitorship. And reflection, he says, of Sakyaras is there. And then in Dwapara Yuga, the mantra, he says, is Hare Murare Madhukaitabhare Gopala Govinda Mukunda Sore Yogesha Narayana Krishna Vishnu Virashrayamam Jagadisha Raksha. He says, now in this mantra, there's some Shantaras, there's Dasyaras, there's Sakyaras, and there's Vatsalyaras. But in the age of Kali, the Taraka Brahmanam, that mantra which delivers everyone, is a Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And he says these are the topmost sweet names of the Lord. He said there's no personal prayer in this mantra. There's no request. Please give me this, Dhanam Dehi, Rupam Dehi, give me this thing, give me that thing. There's no request to the Lord. Simply, Jai Shri Radha Gopi Vallabha. This mantra is meant for the pleasure of the Lord. So this is real yajna. So then, Bhaktivinoda is saying like this, but then why didn't people take it up in previous ages? Prayena Vedataridam Namahajanoyam Devya Vimohita Matir Batamayayalam Trayam Jari Krita Matir Madhupushpitayam Vaitanike Mahati Karmani Yujamana. He says, because the Bhagavatam, 6th canto, chapter 3, text 25 describes that so many different rishis are there, but because they were bewildered by the illusory energy of the Lord, they couldn't appreciate the chanting of the Lord's names. And they were more impressed by people who twist their fingers in different ways or do some type of yoga or something. That seems like really something. The holy name, sometimes we don't take it very seriously. We take the Nishinga Kavacha more seriously. Or we take mudras more, because in Nishinga Kavacha is really hard to memorize. It's a long thing. We take that much more seriously. Or learning Sanskrit or something. It's kind of like, I can ask all of you a question. How many of you today thought, gee whiz, it's such a nice thing we have air? Raise your hand. How many of you appreciated air today? Krishna Kun, she likes air. One or two devotees. Yes, okay, that's nice. How many times do we appreciate? Well, you've probably been appreciating sunshine the last couple of days. or thinking about it anyway. But during the normal course of the year, when it's warm or something, that's supposed to be warm this time, how many times do you think of? We don't think about that. It's just such a common thing. But that sunshine, that air, we can't survive without it. It's an essential principle. It's such a very, very important thing. But it's such a common thing, we don't think very much about it. We pay more attention to other things. And so similarly, with Krishna's names, sometimes we think, yeah, that's there, but he doesn't have a Brahman thread. He's not really a high-class devotee. He's not doing deity worship. He's not doing this thing or that thing. He's not giving classes or cooking for the deities or this or that. He's not such a big person. All he's doing is chanting the holy name. That's all. Sometimes we miss the boat in that sense. So we may ask another question then. Why is it that chanting is recommended for this age if people in other ages, which they were much more elevated than we are, if they couldn't appreciate the chanting in previous ages, why is it recommended for us in this age? Because in Kali Yuga, things are very, very bad. When you have someone's very, very sick, it's required to give them the most powerful medicine. And because Kali Yuga is the most degraded of all the ages, the most powerful medicine is also required. So the Bhagavatam describes it, Kritya Jayato Vishnum Tretaya Mijato Makai Dvarpaye Paricharyayam Kalo Tadari Kirtanat. That whatever results you get in such a yuga by doing meditation on Lord Vishnu, in Treta Yuga, by performing some sacrifices, and Dwapara Yuga, by doing deity worship. All those things can be obtained in Kali Yuga just by chanting the holy name of the Lord. It's an interesting thing. It's said in the Bhagavatam that during the time that Krishna was present, Yavat Sapada Padmadhyam, Sprishan Asti Ramapati, when Krishna's feet were present on the earth, then Tavat Kalir Vapritivim, Parakrantum na Chasakat, that Kali couldn't do anything. He was powerless. And then Krishna left this world, and the Bhagavatam says that's when Kali began to do his dance. But then shortly after Krishna left, just a short, very quick snap of the fingers, just a few, less than 2,000 years after Krishna left, suddenly Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came. And Kali saw, oh, it's one of those periods. Lochan Das Thakur, he sings in one song, Ke Jabi Bai Bhava Sindhu Par, Danya Kali Yugera Chaitanya Avatar. Bolo, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Sometimes if you have to say something really heavy to somebody, you know, something unpleasant, they did something really bad, you go and you put your arm around him. You say, my dear brother. You start off like that, right? That's the Indian system, right? So he says, Kejabi Bai, my dear brother, who's going to cross over this ocean of material existence? You should know, Danya Kali Yuga Chaitanya Avatar. This is such a special age. This is Danya Kali Yuga. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he doesn't come very often. He only comes once in a day of Lord Brahma. And he's come in this age, so we should take advantage of that thing. So Kali couldn't do anything because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is present. But it wasn't just that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was present then and that his movement was finished at that time, but it's described in Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's warm? Thanks. That Haridas Thakur was asking Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that what is everyone going to do in this age of Kali? And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has told him that simply by chanting the holy name, everyone becomes delivered. And Haridas Thakur addressed him that you've delivered everyone in this age of Kali. He says, Sei jiva habe ihan stabara jangama tahate baribe brahmanda jena purva sama bolo. Hare Krishna. He said that all the living entities in this universe have been delivered by you. And then, again, more persons, more living entities came into existence in this universe. So Kali understood that the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was present. And he realized, oh, we have a very big problem right now. Sometimes we may wonder how it is that we hear in the Bhagavatam so many terrible things in the 12th canto, predictions for the end of Kali Yuga. In the second chapter, text 30, it said, in the 12th canto, chapter 2, text 2, it says, Vitameva kalo nirnam janmachara ganodaya dharmanyaya vavastayam karanam balameva hi. That in Kali Yuga, if someone has money, that person is considered to be a high-class person. Doesn't matter, you know, if he's such a nasty person, he has very terrible behavior with women, or whatever. Maybe he's a debauchee, maybe he cheats on people, and whatever. But if he has money, then everybody's going to respect that person. And he says that this law and justice and things are also just on the basis of women. Dampatye bidachir hetur mayaiva vyavaharike stritve pumsve chariratir vipratve sutram evahi. And that women and men, they come together not because, oh, we should have children, not because, oh, we're very compatible, but hubba hubba baby, right? Because she's a really beautiful looking woman and this guy is really a hot looking guy. And people get married for that reason. It's crazy. Men don't realize that along with that package comes a personality. And she has parents. She may have brothers and sisters, and she likes certain things. She doesn't like other things. Her body gets sick sometimes. She can be a little crazy, especially certain times of the month. There's a whole package deal that comes with it. But in Kali Yuga, we just see the external body. And women also see that. Oh, he looks like such a handsome guy. Everything's going to be very good. And then he turns out to be a serial killer or something. It's a very, very difficult thing. So this is the nature of Kali Yuga. This is the nature of the end of Kali Yuga. And it says that vipratve sutram evahi, that you'll be able to judge a Brahman just because they have a paita, we say in Orissa, a Brahman thread. And you'll see in India, it's a common thing, especially in some of the big cities like Kolkata. Now, you can buy a Brahman thread for, 2 or 3 paisa, just a few rupees, something very, very small amount of money. And Sudras, very low-class people, maybe a bungi, a street sweeper, they put on a Brahman thread, and then they get a little pot with some frankincense, and they burn it, and they boom, 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 ha, and they make up some mantras or something, and they go and wave some smoke, and they beg everybody for a few rupees. Or better yet, they dress up in black, and they have a little deity of sunny Saturn, and everybody's very afraid. Right? If I don't give him something, it's going to be a very desperate situation. So people respect them as being a Brahmin just because they have some kind of thread or something. And lingam, someone is known to be a spiritual person just by their external dress. You'll understand, oh, he's a Hare Krishna devotee. I can tell the way he's dressed. This guy, what's a Catholic? Well, those are the guys with the funny collars, and what's a Muslim? Well, they dress like this, and the Jews dress like this, and the Sikhs dress like this. Everything's based on external things. So many different symptoms are given, but these are symptoms that we see present today, but the Bhagavatam says they're supposed to be there at the end of Kali Yuga. Now, why is this? Why is it they're coming about today? It's said that because Kali, when he came, he saw, oh, now I have a big problem. Because Kali kuku kadanjari chao he, Kali Yuga, Pavana Kali Yuga, Kaliboya Nasana, Shri Sachinandana Gao He, Kali Kuku Kadanjari Chao He. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and he kicked out the dog of Kali, he took a big stick, the stick of the holy name, and he drove Kali away. Kali saw, I don't have any strength. He had no strength when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was personally present. And we see that Mahaprabhu's mission, there are 2 aspects of it. During his manifest presence, anyone who was present, they got liberated. In that discussion with Haridas Thakur it's mentioned. But the second aspect of that mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is that everyone in Kali Yuga is ultimately going to become delivered, as he was describing with Haridas Thakur. So we understand that in the case of a plant, when you're planting a seed, there's 5 different stages, which in Sanskrit would say chitta bij, aropana, udbid, anku, and phalan. Chitta bij, first thing is you gather all the seeds together in a pile. Before you're going to go and plant your seeds, you gather them all together in a pile. And then aropana, you go and you throw those seeds out everywhere. And then the next stage is known as udbid. Those seeds begin to germinate. So this is a mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He gave so many different seeds. Now the nature of a seed is it stays under the ground for a long time. And you don't see anything. Looks like nothing's happening for a long time. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he planted those seeds, and many, during his physical presence, his manifest presence, many of those seeds gave fruit, and people got love of God, everyone got liberation. But after he left, there were so many seeds planted. And those seeds now have been germinating and germinating and germinating under the ground for a long, long time. And then you see now, this is a stage, another part of the movement has come all over the world, Anku. There's some sprouts starting to come up. We're not seeing any fruits or anything so much. But when you see the beginning of a plant, you know there's going to be some fruits and flowers later on. It's coming. And that's the fifth stage, the Phalan. So Kali saw that I can't do anything right now during this Danya Kali Yuga. So after Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left, he decided, I'm going to have to act very, very fast. And he's brought out the full strength Kali Yuga very, very quickly, which is why things are so very, very difficult today. So when we speak about this Nam Yagya, this Sankirtan Yagya, many questions arise. One of them is, what is the mystery of first initiation? Did you ever think about that? I think most of us here today know something about Vedic culture. In Vedic culture, there's no question of someone chanting a mantra before they get initiated, right? But in first initiation, what is our system? They chant the Hare Krishna mantra 16 rounds a day for at least a year, or sometimes 6 months or something. And then you can get first initiation. That's a strange thing. We've never heard of an initiation ceremony where someone is already chanting the mantra before, and then during the ceremony, they don't get the mantra. The mantra is not spoken in the ear. But in our first initiation ceremonies, the person's already chanting the mantra before initiation, and the mantra is not spoken in the ear. How do we understand this? It's described in Padma Purana, Ata Shri Krishna Namadi Nabhavid Graham Indriyai. That, to put it very bluntly, what the verse says, you can't chant the holy name with your senses. Literally is what it says. Ata Shri Krishna Nama Adi. Krishna's name, etc., meaning Krishna Katha. You can't, with your senses, you can't appreciate Krishna's name, Krishna Katha, Krishna's abode. You can't understand those things. So then how do we approach Krishna? Sevan mukhi jivado swayameva sparatyada. Then the next verse says, with your senses. Wait a minute. The first line, it's very confusing, isn't it? The first line says, Atashi Krishna Nabhavigram Indriya. Indriya means with your senses. You have Panchagan Indriya, 5 knowledge-acquiring senses, one of which is the jiva, or the tongue. So then in the next line, he says that with the tongue, one can chant. Well, what is the meaning of this? We should understand these things. First of all, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gave the holy name to everyone. Rupa Goswami, he describes in Laghu Bhagavatamrita that Sri Chaitanya Makod Girna, Hare Krishna Divarnaka, Majayanti Jagat Premni, Vijayanti Tadavaya. That Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu already gave the Hare Krishna mantra to everyone. And that's why everyone can chant it. So then a question comes next, and well then, what is the necessity of a first initiation ceremony? And some people say there's no necessity, that real initiation is second initiation. But if you say that, we become very unhappy. The devotees who had first initiation, what you're saying is just some ritualistic ceremony, or worse yet, you're saying that Srila Prabhupada did something that doesn't really have very much deep meaning. We're not satisfied with that answer. We have to look deeper. What are the elements of our first initiation ceremony? Can someone tell me? Always the same things go on from the time of Srila Prabhupada. Can someone say? What's one aspect?
The
There's 4 vows. We take a promise. Now I'm going to follow 4 regulated principles. That's the hardest part, right? For everybody. One of the hard parts anyway. What else happens? What other aspect is there? We make a promise to chant 16 rounds a day. What else is there? You may say a fire yoga, but the fire yoga is not always there. My friend Nishingananda Prabhu, a wonderful devotee, Prabhupada's disciple, he was living in the LA temple. He joined the temple. His family are wealthy people. And when he moved into the Hare Krishna temple, his mother went ballistic. She became very, very disturbed. And she went to the newspapers and so many things and was complaining they kidnapped my son and saying all terrible things. And the devotees came and they told Srila Prabhupada, this devotee is causing some trouble being here because his mother is saying all these things. So Prabhupada called him up to his room in LA. And Prabhupada asked him, he said, if you go home, can you chant Hare Krishna? And he said, yeah. And Prabhupada said, can you offer your own food and do it? And he said, yeah. And Prabhupada said, so you should go home. You stay. And he said, but Prabhupada, I'm not even initiated anything. And Prabhupada said, anyway, your name is Nishingananda. And that was how he got initiated. And Prabhupada sent him home. So there's not always even a fire yajna. But always these certain aspects are there. As you mentioned, there's 4 vows we take. We promise to chant 16 rounds a day. And there's one other element that's always traditionally there. Can someone say what that is? There's a new name. Okay, that's another part of it. There's a new name. And there's another aspect I'm looking for too. Can someone say what that is? We surrender to the Guru, but all those things are part of that. The Guru gives a lecture, right? What does he speak about? He speaks about the 10 offenses to the holy name. In the beginning of Mukta Charit, Raghunath Das Goswami gives a wonderful Mangalacharna prayer, which many devotees recite. And he begins by stating there that Nama Shreshtam, Manamapi Sachiputram Mata Swarupam. And he speaks about all the different gifts that I've gotten from Gurudev. And the first gift, he says, is Nama Shreshtam, the topmost name. Jiva Goswami, in his Kramasandarbha commentary, in the 6th canto, he says that there are 2 types of chanting. Sneha Samyukta, or chanting with affection, and Kebalanam, or common chanting. And that common chanting can give one Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, and even better than those 4 Panchama Purusharthas, it can, Purushartha, it can give one, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says in one purport, it can give one some bhakti unmukhi sakriti, or some piety by which we can get association with devotees. But unless you have association with a devotee, bhaktistu bhagavad bhakta sangena parijayate, unless you accept a devotee, Krishna tells Arjuna in the Adi Purana, ye me bhakta jana parta, na me bhakta sate jana, mad bhaktanam chaye bhaktas te me bhakta tamomata. I often quote this verse, you may have heard me say, that sometimes you see people wearing these t-shirts, right? It says, I, and there's a big heart, I love. It says Krishna, right? So Krishna says, I have no idea who those guys are. They're not my devotees. Ye me bhakta jana parta, na me bhakta sate jana, mad bhaktanam chaye bhaktas te me bhakta tamo mata. But that person who's a devotee of my devotee, he's my real devotee. That's a genuine devotee. So this is the secret of our first initiation. You're already chanting the mantra before initiation. So what's the difference between chanting before initiation and chanting after initiation? There's a great difference. The difference is that now you've been accepted by a Vaishnava. And part of that acceptance, you're chanting the holy name, I was chanting before, but now, sevan mukhi jivado. Whereas before I was chanting something, it said in Chaitanya Charitamrita that Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabuar. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sajja? Shavanadi Sudachiti Koye Doi. The first line. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema. Sadhu Kabunoi. Yeah, Kabunoi. That you can't do sadhana. Literally speaking is what the verse is saying. But then the next line says Shravanadi Sudachiti. That by doing Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Shravanadi, then you become purified. It's very similar to the verse in Padma Purana. What do these verses mean? It's a great mystery. There's a difference between chanting on our own and chanting under the guidance of Guru. And this Nam Yagya means that we're doing this sacrifice for the pleasure of someone. Because to do a yagya, you're doing it as Krishna says, Yagyantar Karmano Nyatra Lokoyam Karma Bandhana. It should be done for the pleasure of the Lord, that sacrifice, not for our pleasure. So who am I doing that yagya for? Yagya, we have to be initiated. And in this initiation name, the name was already there. But this is a name with a conception. The chanting was already there before the time of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It was there in every Kali Yuga. And in Treta Yuga, and in Dwapara Yuga, and in Satya Yuga, there was also chanting going on. But in this Kali Yuga, there's something different. It's not just Nam Sankirtan, but it's Prema Nam Sankirtan. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made a garland. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, Nama Prema Mala Ganti. He made a garland out of the holy name and prema. It's not ordinary chanting. So when we get first initiation, it means we're being accepted by Gurudev. And now that chanting is a little different. I was chanting before, and now I'm chanting after initiation. But this chanting after initiation, this is my service to my Gurudev. This is my connection to my Gurudev. Just like a baby has an umbilical cord, a cord that connects the child to the mother. And through that cord, the mother feeds the child. And we also have an umbilical cord which connects us to Gurudev, through which he feeds us. And this is our umbilical cord. It's our connection with our Gurudev is through that chanting of the holy name. And we do it as a service for him. Otherwise, this chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, this is given in the book Radha Tantra. This chanting is done by Srimati Radharani. This chanting is done by the gopis in Goloka Vrindavan. They're the persons who are really meant for this chanting. Now, I have a question for all of you. Has anybody here ever done Vrindavan Parikrama during the month of Kartik, during a Ekadasi during the month of Kartik? Be a little more particular. Raise your hand if you have. A few devotees. It's an unforgettable experience, isn't it, Rati Krishna Prabhu? I think about half the city of Delhi comes to Vrindavan for that day. And there's a few unspoken rules. One rule is that every, 20 feet or so, there has to be a huge speaker blasting some Bollywood songs. One of the unspoken rules is the volume has to be turned up all the way. Second unspoken rule is the speaker has to be broken and make a... Am I wrong? This is what it's like. And then also every so many feet or so, you'll find some pious persons who are pouring water in the hands of the yatris. Maybe it's very hot that time too. And so they're pouring some water so they get something to drink. Now Vrindavan's a very dry place. And some of that water goes through the fingers of the yatris. It lands on the ground. And then later the kukurs, the dogs, they come to get some of that. The insects and other creatures. The water is not meant for them. Water was meant for the yatris, but the dogs are benefiting. So this kirtan, this Premanam Sankirtan, this kirtan was for Srimati Radharani and the gopis. This is for the residents of Vrindavan. But they're so kind, some of the water is going through their fingers. And we're also collecting some of that, the dogs, here in Kali Yuga. And we do that by rendering service to Gurudev. This is a mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that Uchalila prema banya chodike bidhai, Sri Brida Palaka Juba Sabare Dubai. This flood of love of God was going in all directions. And it said that this Krishna conscious movement, Sajjana, Durjana, Pangu Jada Andadgana, Prema Vanyaya, Dubaila, Jagatera Jana. That this chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, this Prema Sankirtana, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, everyone gets this. The Sajjana, gentle people, gentlemen, the Durjanas, very nasty people, Pangu, persons who are lame, Jada, persons who are invalid, Andagana, persons who are blind. Everyone can take part in this Krishna consciousness movement. And he says that Jagat Dubila, Jibira Hoila Bijanas, Tahadeki Panchajanira Parama Ulas. That when the members of the Pancha Tattva, they saw this whole world drowned in love of God, then they became very, very exceedingly happy. Jata Jata Prema Brishti, Kore Panchajani, Tata Tata Bharajala, Vyupe Tribhuvani. The more that the members of the Panchatattva cause the rains of love of God to fall, the more the inundation increases and spreads all over the world. But it comes through this service to Gurudev. We can't approach Krishna directly. What if I came running in the room and I said, Prabhuji, it's an amazing thing, oh my God. Krishna is in the other room right now and he wants to talk to you. So what will you do? Did you ever think about that? What will you do? You would think about it. Maybe I won't go. I don't know. How are you going to, if you go there, what are you going to do? Yo, dude, how's it going? How are them gopis, huh? How's the weather in Vrindavan? What are we going to say? Huh? I won't go by myself, but I'll put my Gurudev in front of me. Gurudev belongs there. And I'm Gurudev's servant. Then I can go there. So this is a chanting of the holy name. Abhinatva Nama Namino. Krishna's name is non-different from Krishna. Purvasmat Parameva Hanta Karuna Tatrapi Dujani Mahi. Rupa Goswami in Namastakam, he says that there's no difference between Nam and Nami, Krishna and his name, but there's one little difference. That Krishna's name is more merciful than Krishna, more fortunate than Krishna. It's said that once Krishna, he did something very bad. I don't know exactly what it was, but he was supposed to meet Srimati Radharani in some kunj or something, and he didn't show up. And he came about 6 hours late when the sun was just starting to rise, and he came and he told Radharani, oh my God, I'm so sorry, but my alarm clock didn't go off or something, I didn't wake up. And Radharani looks at him and she says, what's that lipstick on your face? And Krishna said, oh, I scratched my cheek when I was running to come to see you in a big hurry, and what's that cudgel, the black? Krishna said, I was sleeping too close to the candle next to my bed. And Radharani becomes very, very annoyed. And she says, hey, Chalo, probation shade, get out from here. You can't come in. So then Krishna has a problem. What's he going to do? We were telling some story like this the other day. So Krishna decides that the only thing I can do, I have to become a maidservant of Radharani. And he dresses himself up like a woman. And he goes there, and the gopis, they say, who are you? And so I do makeup work. I help ladies. And I heard that you're Radharani. She needs some makeup and things. So Radharani called him in. And what can you do? Oh, I can decorate your feet. Krishna was very eager to serve Radharani's lotus feet. And so he started putting some lac, some red color on Radharani's feet. And then Krishna thought to himself, I wish I could be on these feet. And then Krishna thought, wait a minute, my devotee, Narad Muni, he's always telling me that Abhinatva Nama Namina, that I'm not different from my name. Got it. So Krishna wrote his name on Radharani's foot. And then suddenly Radharani noticed, hey, What are you doing? Huh? Stop that, writing that debauchee's name on my foot. Get out from here. Go away. And Krishna was thinking to himself, my name, Narad Muni says my name is non-different than me, but it's not true. My name is more fortunate than me. More fortunate. So Krishna is non-different from his name. He's present in his name. It's not that the holy name is only God 5 days a week and he takes the weekends off. Or something like that. But he's always God. Nitya Suddha. The Padma Purana says, it's always pure. Krishna's always present there. And just as we can't approach Krishna directly, we also can't approach Krishna's name directly. Oh, we can also approach Krishna directly in one sense, but you can't get the same thing. You can't get that intimate association, you can't get that intimate service that we get through Krishna's devotee. So this is some secret, some mystery of this first initiation ceremony. So I'd like to stop right now for a minute at least and see if there's any reflections. I like having time for reflections. Reflection, if you don't know, in English has two meanings. It's something you see in a mirror. So reflection is something you just repeat. Yeah, you said this thing. That really resonated with me. I like that. And the second meaning of reflection is that I'm thinking about something. Yeah, it made me put this other thing together with this, and wow, that gave me this realization. So I like to have a few reflections, if any, and also helps me to know if the devotees were sleeping or not, or anybody was hearing anything whatsoever. So please help me. Does anybody have any reflections about anything? Anything that you liked? Bhima Prabhu?
We often hear about the fact that in other ages it was much more beneficial for yajna or different types of meditation, but this yuga is so, this time is so terrible, it's such a calamity, that all we can do is grab onto the holy name, and that's our only hope, and the only way, so to speak, is to call out Krishna's name. But if you have Kunti's prayer, she says, let the calamities come again and again. And then we have ourselves who know that when things are going good in our lives, actually the name kind of takes a second seat, and our desperation for Krishna takes a second seat. Whereas when calamities happen, when our job is threatened, when economic situation is not copacetic with our wishes, etc., that's when we can, or things starting to fall apart on some other level, then that's when we really grab the name, and that's actually when we actually make a step forward. We start to realize that there is no other shelter. So how is it that Kali Yuga is considered so bad when it actually gets us there so quickly? And it keeps us from loving to live 10,000 years in a wonderful environment. We're still in nature.
Okay. I was looking for reflections, not questions, but still, I'll go along with it. It's a good question. So this age is so bad. I mean, just look outside. Just look what's going on in the world today, and everybody's fighting over the smallest thing, and people are so external. And sometimes, honestly, we just, even sometimes in our own movement, we want to judge people on the basis of the color of their skin, or how they look, or external things. Are they working a job? Are they doing this? Are they doing that? We don't know the heart of that person. Right? And this is a symptom, one of the symptoms of Kali Yuga, that people judge things in a very, very external way. But the Bhagavatam also says that in this age of Kali, the residents of other ages, they want to take birth now, because there's a 90% off sale. And everybody knows, what do they call these things? Monday Madness or something? I don't know. Kmart or whatever you have, blue shopping thing, I don't know. They have some big shopping sale, and everybody goes completely mad. They want that thing. So this is Kali Yuga. It's such a fantastic opportunity to make advancement in this age. But we just need to chant the holy name, something. Okay? Prabhuji?
So, one of the reflections I think of from your talk was that kind of reiterated my thinking process, because it seems that I was kind of taking it very lightly from last couple of days, and after hearing from you, it kind of reiterated that, oh, I should take it seriously.
A lot of times, sometimes even devotees, they say, we have a Nam seminar or something, and they say, very important, keep your back straight and pronounce things properly and focus the mind. But Arjuna says in Bhagavad Gita, Chanchalahi mana Krishna. I can't control my mind. My mind's like the wind. Huh? So how can we, all these processes are actually yoga, and yoga doesn't work for us. But if we have a personal connection, if we're doing something out of love for someone that we know, then it's a different kind of thing. And then in that situation, we can learn what my Guru Maharaj used to call Atma Krandana. Atma Krandana means the crying of the soul. And this is the chanting of Hare Krishna. Vrindavandas Thakur, he says very nicely, Bhakti Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Bhakti Yoga Dana. Bhakti e Krishna Nama Smarana Krandana Bolo. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
3 times he says, Bhakti Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Bhakti Yoga Dana. Hey, Bhakti's a real wealth. Bhakti, okay, right. So what is Bhakti? Bhakti e Krishna Nama. Bhakti is Krishna's name, but Smarana Krandana means remembering Krishna. And it means crying for Krishna. One second. In the Adi Purana, Krishna, he tells Arjuna, Gatvacha mama namani rudante mami sanido te shamaham parikrito nanyakrito janardana. He says that some people say that I belong to them. Actually, a lot of people say that. And the Muslims, they say God is in our mosque and he's not in your place. And the Jews say he's in our synagogue, and the Christians say he's in our church, and the Hindus say he's in their temple, and the Hare Krishna people say he's here, right? But Krishna says, actually, I don't belong to any of those people. I don't belong to the Jews or the Christians or the Muslims or the Hindus or even the Hare Krishnas. Just because you're a Hare Krishna doesn't mean you own Krishna. He says, I belong to those persons who are chanting my names and crying for me. That's needed. So how can we cry? Once, my Guru Maharaj used to speak a lot about crying for Krishna. And once one devotee in Africa asked him, Maharaj, how you're speaking we should cry for Krishna, but I don't know Krishna, how can we cry for Krishna? And he gave a really nice analogy. He said that it's like if you go to a funeral and you don't know the person who died, right? Everybody's crying there. So you also start crying. It moves your heart, right? Everybody's crying. You also start crying also. So when we have association of people who are crying for Krishna, then we also begin to cry, to a greater or lesser extent. And as we were saying a few days ago in Hartford, everybody in this world is crying, but Sutamita Ramani Rachinta Samaj, they're crying for the wrong reason. They're crying because they, as we were saying the other day, I've been married 6 times. And every time my wife cheated me and left me. But still, the poor fellow, even though he's been married so many times, he sees another pretty girl. He thinks, maybe this one will be different. Maybe she's the one. We have some hope. And we should become hopeless. But we have hope. As my Guru Maharaj once told one devotee who had just gotten married to a young girl, very young, beautiful girl. He was so very, very happy. And Guru Maharaj told him, she'll make you cry, Baba. And she did, later on also, when they got married. So in this world, we want so many toys. We're crying for things. I will tell a quick story. There was once a woman who, we told this in Hartford the other day, that she had 2 small children. There was a little boy who was like 4 years old, and there was a baby who was maybe a few months old. And it's very hard for a woman in such a situation. She got a phone call from her husband, said, sweetheart, the boss is going to come for dinner, so please cook something special. Okay, it's not an easy thing with these little children. And the baby's crying, So she's trying to cook, but the baby keeps crying. She has to stop. So finally, she calls for the older boy, like 5, 6 years old, and she gives him some money. She go downstairs, and there's a red ball with some bells on it in the shop. You buy that and bring that up here. And so she brings it up, and she gives it to the baby. And the baby sees the red ball. Oh, and he stops crying. Life's good. And she's able to go and start cooking. But then after a little while, the baby drops the ball and starts crying again. And the mother comes, and then she picks the ball up, and she shakes the ball, and the bells ring. And the baby's, oh, this is really cool. And the baby plays with the... And this goes on for some time. The mother keeps coming, the baby's crying, going back and forth. Until finally, the baby takes the ball and throws the ball. To hell with this ball, and starts screaming really loud. And every mother knows that kind of scream. Now, he wants me. I have to stop cooking. And she goes in. So we're in a similar situation. We're crying a little bit for Krishna. Oh, Krishna, I'm suffering. It's really bad. I lost my job. I lost my family. I had this and that. And then someone gives us a new cell phone. And hey, things are good. Huh? Life's all right, you know? Huh? And then after a while, the cell phone breaks, and we're crying again. And then we get another toy. Huh? So, and life's good for a little while. And then we get maybe another girlfriend, or this or that. Huh? And we get so many toys. And while we have our new toy, things are okay, but then it never really solves our problem. So we have to, like this little baby, throw all the toys away. The hell with the toys. I want you. We have to begin to scream and cry like that. And that's Atma Krandana, the crying of the soul. But would you had some reflection or something? Comment?
Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement is just not plain Nam Sankirtan, but it's plain Nam Sankirtan.
Yes.
And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, out of his infinite mercy, especially appeared in this 28th Kali Yuga, or the 7th mantra, to deliver this holy name and make going back to what is very easy.
Thank you very much. Huh? Who was you?
Sort of the sacrifice, like ears as the kunda and tongue as the name, name as the
It's said by Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami wrote a wonderful verse which later appeared in Vidagdha Madhav when he was in Jagannath Puri. Tunde tandavani raten vitanute tundavali labdaye karna kroda kadambani gatayate karnarbidu byospiham cheta prangana sangani vijayate sarvandriyanam kritim no jane janitaki adri amritai krishneti varna dvai. He said, I do not know, I don't know how much nectar there is in the holy name. And when the holy name is chanted, we want millions of tongues. And then we want millions of ears to hear that. And when the holy name enters into the courtyard of the heart, sarvendriyanam kritim, all of our indriyas, all of our senses become conquered by that holy name. So if we contemplate on this verse, the first thing is not the chanting, our chanting. The first thing is the hearing. There's Navavidi Bhakti, the first thing is Shravan, hearing, then Kirtan. We first hear Kirtan. And we hear that Kirtan, we want to hear that Sneha Samyukta Nam, that name that's imbued with affection. You may have the name Kevin, and everybody can say Kevin, your friend can say Kevin, you can introduce yourself as Kevin, people on television can say your name Kevin. But there's a difference when your mother says Kevin. There's a difference when your wife or your girlfriend says Kevin. There's a difference when that name is spoken with love. So we want to serve Guru for this thing. We want that love. Previously there was Nam Sankirtan going on, but now Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come and he's doing the Kirtan that Srimati Radharani is doing with her associates, and this is something we'll discuss more tomorrow. And this Kirtan, as you're saying, it's not just Nam Kirtan, but it's Prema Nam Sankirtan. This is the Sankirtan that Srimati Radharani is doing with love. Okay, any other reflections? Thoughts? Prabhuji? Yes.
You also mentioned that generally because ISKCON, the gurus are they're not close to us, they're very far. So anyway, I mean they're free to travel.
Yes.
The only way to discuss the mind and maybe as you mentioned that there's a connecting with the guru, like a community card, and that's how the chanting is. So this actually strike me. And the third thing which you mentioned was that as Lord Krishna was thinking or rather know my name, my name and me, they are not equal. In fact, my name is more
It's more fortunate than you.
than me. So, I realized
I was in Vrindavan a little early this year. We stayed there for 6 months this last year. And at that time, we were giving class regularly in the temple. And after class one day, somebody came and asked some questions. Said, "You've been speaking about guru something, but I never get to see my guru. And how can I associate with him?" And I looked at him and I said, "Please forgive me. I don't mean to be harsh. But why did you accept him as guru if you think he's a mundane person? If you think that some space and time are going to separate you, then that means he's a mundane person. I can only associate with him when he's physically present. I can't associate with him any other way. That means you think he's mundane. That's your problem, but I don't understand. Why did you take initiation then, if you think that he's a mundane person?" Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in Sajjana Toshini magazine, he says that after the disappearance of Gurudev, some people think that, they don't want to say it, it's a terrible thing, but they think that Gurudev's dead. He's gone. And Bhaktivinoda says that your guru is not dead, you're dead. He says, "Man mor abhav," you're brain dead. Because you think that he was just an ordinary person. So we should never make that mistake. And we have this connection with Gurudev through this chanting of the holy names. And we can understand this something. If you meet someone in the office, you meet someone on the street, and they're a really nice person, you start talking to them, and you give them a book. And they, "Wow, is there anything more I can do?" Well, yeah, you can chant this mantra. And you tell them the Hare Krishna mantra, and they start chanting. How do you feel? You feel pretty good, don't you? You feel really happy. So imagine how Gurudev feels when he sees that we're chanting on his behalf, because that's all that Gurudev wants. This is Sadhu Guru. Sadhu Guru is not coming and saying, "Give me money, give me followers, give me some important position." But Sadhu Guru simply wants to empower others. Sadhu Guru is that person who wants to see that everyone is chanting the holy name. That's his only desire. That's all that Srila Prabhupada wanted. Prabhupada said in one lecture in Hong Kong, he said, "We're not doing business." He said, "We're not interested in money. We don't want your money." He said, "We don't care if you become members. We simply want that you become happy." And that's the purpose of this movement. Nice thing. Thank you, Babu. You had something, Babu? Okay. Anything else? Any other questions or comments? Babuji? Right. We can get some kind of liberation. You may be able to go to Vaikuntha, but you can't enter into Goloka Vrindavan unless you have Krishna Prem. And that Krishna Prem we can't get unless we go through a person. Because it's love. Love is something which you, if you want to love some other person you've never met, you can't just read about it in a book. You can read something in a book, but the real thing is when you meet someone who's met that person and has a relationship with them, and that person can introduce you. They're a go-between. That's sadhu guru. The example's given, we have this garland on. You can take a flower, you can take one of these roses when it's a very new bud, and you can pluck it from the plant. But that bud, it won't grow any further. It's finished. And so similarly, you can get liberation. Mukti tucha falahoy namabasa hoite. Even chanting namabas, mukti is tucha fal. It's a very insignificant result of even namabas. You can get liberation, no big deal. But to get Krishna prem, that's another thing. And that's why devotees, they pray, Janme Janme Prabhu say, birth after birth. And Jiva Goswami, in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, his commentary, he says that sometimes Krishna makes someone take birth again and again, even though they're chanting, until they get perfection, until they get Krishna prem. Not that we should want to stay around this place. Prabhupada also encouraged the devotees, why not this lifetime? You should get out of here this lifetime. But again, our purpose is not just liberation. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he rejected liberation like that. And so many of our prayers, so many of our acharyas have said things about this. But we should want to be with Krishna. We should be very, very intense. Tivrena bhakti yogena. Our practice of bhakti should be very, very intense practice. And that intensity comes from a personal relationship. It doesn't come from passive practice of yoga, where I keep my back straight and I pronounce things properly. That's not going to give me intense chanting. Intense chanting is going to come when I have a loving relationship with someone. And on the basis of that loving relationship, I'm crying out. I want to serve that person. And if that person leaves this world, then I'm crying in separation from that person. Something personal. Okay? All right? So maybe we'll just do a little kirtan and finish things up. Would you have something? Very good. There are many different reasons we come together. Prasparanu katanam pavanam bhagavad-yasa mita ratamitas tustir nivita mita atmana. Krishna tells Arjuna, Krishna tells Uddhava in 11th canto of the Bhagavatam that devotees should learn how to associate. That's the first thing. Should learn how to associate. Paraspara anukatanam. By coming together and hearing and chanting about Krishna. And in that association, mito ratir mitas tustir nivita mita atmana. One of the first things is that you hear about devotees that they say, yeah, I could have gone to the football game, but I came to the Sunday feast program instead. Because this is more important. And you think, yeah, well, why am I going to the football game? I'll do the same thing. Or somebody says that you're speaking and you say, I used to be attached to television so much, but it just wasn't good for my Nam-bhajan, so I gave that up. Sridhar Swami in his commentaries, Bhavarta Deepika commentary in that verse, he says that we should not envy one another, but we should come together and speak about Krishna. And in that association, the first thing is our hearts become purified from all these other things. And if we have very high association, and we see that people have some nam ruchi, some attachment for the holy name, or they have some feeling of separation, maybe they're atmakranda, they're crying a little bit for the Lord, that also can rub off on us. But especially it comes to us when we render service to those persons. So many things, so many wonderful, wonderful fruits are there in association with the devotees. One insignificant fruit is we're protected from material desires in that association. It helps us to give up material desires. It helps us give us inspiration in so many different ways. There's many things. Prabhuji?
a destination for those who actually do the Ashtanga yoga? Because I know that if they, the Ashtanga yoga is able to meditate on Paramatma, holy name, and Paramatma realization. So, now in the modern world, if you see, especially in the United States, like Ashtanga yoga practice is quite so much prevalent. People are taking that practice. Is there a bona fide process right now to do that, whatever is existing right now, to get some kind of a realization, whether it's Paramatma realization?
Well, I'll say something negative and I'll say something positive about it. We generally hear a lot of negative things. Well, sometimes we hear negative things from the devotees. Sometimes we're confused because sometimes devotees, they emphasize yoga and they want to go and do programs in yoga centers or something, but then privately we say yoga's bogus. And it's confirmed. So how do we reconcile those things? Well, first of all, there's a little story when Prabhupada once was in Balboa Park in San Diego on a morning walk with the devotees. And as they were walking, the devotees saw some people doing Hatha Yoga in the park. And the devotees started making fun of them with Prabhupada. And they said, just see these people, they think they're going to get something by becoming a human pretzel. And Prabhupada said, no, this is very good for your health. And then all of a sudden, all the devotees stopped. And they gathered around Srila Prabhupada. And said, can we do this, Srila Prabhupada? No? And I think perhaps Srila Prabhupada, at that time, he was envisioning, and all of a sudden, in Mangal Artik time, everybody's doing Surya Namaskar or something instead of singing the morning prayers. Prabhupada said, no, you don't do that. So why did Prabhupada say no? Harinama, 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 Kalo Nastyeva, 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 Gattiranuta. Jai Shri Radha Gopi Vallabha. That yoga doesn't cut it in this age because it's so very, very difficult. The process of Ashtanga yoga is a very long, complicated process. And generally speaking, it would take thousands of years. It was meant for a different age. That doesn't mean that it's completely useless. There is benefit to it. And even Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written a book called Prema Pradeep. And in that Prema Pradeep, he tells a story about some different devotees who are chanting Hare Krishna and how they got perfection. And one of them was a Hatha yogi. And through that process of Hatha yoga, he took advantage of that, and he was helping him to control his senses, helping him to be celibate and helping him to be more focused on the holy name. Yoga can help us like that. But in and of itself, in this day and age, the problem with yoga, if someone has a bona fide yoga teacher, then they'll tell them they should meditate on the Paramatma. Very few yoga classes speak anything about that. It's mostly a health thing. And it is a good health thing, too. It's a very holistic lifestyle. And for a lot of the devotees who are just used to eating white sugar and white flour and a lot of fried things their whole life and are overweight, it wouldn't be a bad idea to do a little bit of Hatha yoga. We shouldn't criticize it. But it's not a process that we take shelter of for making spiritual advancement. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Chaitanya Sikshamrita, he says that when someone practices Hatha yoga like that, if they're practicing proper Hatha yoga, which, as I said, practically nobody's even doing, then it means they're meditating on the super soul. But then the problem comes that a lot of times they think, I am the super soul. They start meditating so much on the super soul, and they think that's me. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that Bhakti Devi's not very happy in that situation. He says that yoga and Gyan and karma, all three of these things have their strength, and this is also said in the 6th canto of the Bhagavatam, they get their strength from the chanting of the holy names. Someone is a classic karma yogi. They chant some mantras or something. If someone's a hatha yoga, they're meditating on the Paramatma, and maybe they're also chanting some mantras for the Paramatma. And then a Jnani is similarly chanting some mantras like that. So those mantras are all based on the strength of the holy name of Krishna. They're getting some benefit by that. He says, but Bhakti Devi's not very happy seeing their conception, and she doesn't reveal very much to them. Their realization is very, very limited, right? Because they want something else. But real yagya means that we're doing something for the pleasure of Krishna. Yagyo vai Vishnu, for his pleasure. And then Krishna manifests himself. Okay? All right. Okay. And then her. Uh-huh. Our acharyas have commented on that. In Sarvagata is what Krishna says in the Gita there, that he's present everywhere. And it doesn't mean that my jiva is present everywhere, but it means the jivas in general are present everywhere. And the souls are always present everywhere. There's a lot of problems with the conception of impersonalism. We would call it a Mayavad philosophy. And again, I don't necessarily believe in just bashing everybody on the head with that, because the Bhagavatam also glorifies the impersonalists. And it's a bona fide process, but it's limited. Just the problem is that somebody thinks that this is a topmost thing. And I'll give you an example of how we can see it's fallacious if if everything is one, right, which is a general concept. And I realize that when I get liberated, okay, so if everyone is one, when he gets liberated, why don't I get liberated? Why don't we all get liberated? Because there's some difference. Huh? It's not all one in that sense. The Brahman is there, that energy of the Lord, it's all pervading. He's all pervading, but we're very minute and individual. Okay? You have something? How can we love Krishna if we don't love Guru? But if we love Guru, then we'll love Krishna. Prabhupada said, if you love me, you love my dog. And Krishna's dog is his Guru, his Gurudev, our Guru. So we develop love. Jiva Goswami quotes this verse, Yasya Devi Para Bhaktir, Yata Devi Tata Guru, Tashaiti Kartita Hyata Prakashanti Mahatmana. He says that the same feeling I'll have to Gurudev, I'll have to Krishna. Because Gurudev, Prabhupada many times said, he's the postman. He's the messenger for Krishna. It's just like the embassy. The embassies here, you may have an embassy in Boston, a Russian embassy or a Chinese embassy or something. That embassy is not China, it's not Russia, although in one sense we consider it to be the property of China or Russia, because they're the representatives of that country. So Gurudev is like that, and he's collecting that love on behalf of Krishna. Gurudev is that person. Gurudev is like a pipe, my Guru Maharaj would say. And if the pipe says, I'm the source of water, then the pipe is a rascal. The water is coming from a great reservoir, a great lake. And the pipe is just a channel for that water. So that's Gurudev. He's come to collect that love and collect that service, and whatever he collects, he passes it on through parampara to his Gurudev, who passes it on to his Guru all the way up to Krishna. Okay? Very good question. All right? So I think we'll stop there. I have an hour drive to go back to my house, so I'm a little apprehensive. Maybe we'll stop here. I won't do any kirtan more tonight. But tomorrow night we have a discussion. In our discussion, a very interesting subject. Why is this Premanam Sankirtan? Why do we chant the name of Krishna? Why don't we chant the name of Radha? Why don't we chant the name of Gora or Nityananda? If they're more merciful, we hear. This is a topic we want to discuss something tomorrow. So thank you all very much for being very kind to us. Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Radha Gopi Vallabha Ju ki, Gopremanandi Hari, Vanchakalpataribhishcha, Kripa Sindhubhya Vicha, Paritanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah.